great Coca-Cola on ice. Nothing gets better. I hope they don't change this formula. Well, hello there, Old Man Kelly here. Jeff to my friends, and you can call me Jeff. Today I want to talk to you about New Coke. What is New Coke? Well, the Coca-Cola company, who had been making this delicious soft drink since 1886 and was still the number one selling soft drink in the world, decided to drastically change its formula. The results were a disaster. It's considered one of the biggest marketing blunders of all time. But the idea wasn't as ridiculous as you might think. Let me explain. You see, around World War II, Coke was huge. It held like a 60% market share among soft drinks. By 1983, it had dropped to about 24%. Now, of course, by then, Pepsi-Cola had been making a name for itself in the world of carbonated beverages, but there were other reasons as well. There were many alternatives to Coke, including diet drinks, which were getting very popular among health-conscious people. But there was also non-cola beverages like 7-Up, Orange Crush, Mountain Dew, a ton of them. Coke was still number one, but just barely.
You've got the word. Coke is on the go, all over America, all over the world. And you are keeping it moving.
When Coke hired a new CEO named Roberto Gonzueta in 1980, he was determined to turn things around to bring the company back to its glory days. And to do so, he said there would be no sacred cows in the way the company did business. Now, at the same time, Pepsi had been conducting what they called the Pepsi Challenge. It was a blind taste test that showed that people like the taste of Pepsi something like 53 to 47 over the taste of Coke. Here's the thing about that. These blind taste tests were flawed. In tests that involve food, especially in small quantities, people will always choose the sweeter one. And Pepsi has more sugar in it than Coke. That doesn't mean they'll like it in everyday life, like when they're eating or whatnot. And also, these were sip taste tests. What you like in one little sip is often far different from what you'll like, well, if you drink a whole can. Now, Coke did their own taste tests, and their results were pretty much the same thing. People seemed to like Pepsi over Coke, so they panicked, and they created a new formula, a much sweeter tasting formula. Another error Coke made was not just failing to realize that their tests were flawed, but also Pepsi wasn't gaining ground just because of their taste. Pepsi had been doing a better job at advertising. For years, Pepsi had been trying to appeal to a younger crowd, and it was working. Now, I know this doesn't pertain to you, but to the general public, a lot of their purchases are based on, well, what they see on TV. So once Coke had their new drink, they began a series of blind taste tests, and it showed that yes, people liked the taste of new Coke better than old Coke or Pepsi. So on April 23rd, 1985, New Coke was introduced with a massive advertising campaign. And this, in my opinion, is where Coke messed up. You see, Coke might not have had the market shares it once had, but Coke has a loyal following. I mean, just look how many people collect Coke stuff, right? So when Coke made it obvious that they were just trying to copy Pepsi, Coke drinkers were outraged, especially when they just didn't introduce a new flavor, but replaced the old one, discontinuing the original formula. The backlash was huge. I mean, in general, Pepsi drinkers are Pepsi drinkers and Coke drinkers are Coke drinkers, and you're not going to get a Pepsi drinker to switch. I mean, you can go to them and say, hey, our new drink tastes a lot like Pepsi. Yeah, but we already have Pepsi. Where's the sense in that? All that they could accomplish was to piss off the Coke drinkers, and that's exactly what happened. Mark Potts wrote in the Washington Post, truth be told, several people who sampled the new product said it tasted a lot like Pepsi-Cola. This was huge for Pepsi Company executives who were positively gloating. Pepsi-Cola USA President Roger Enrico took out a full-page ad that read, "After 87 years of going to eyeball, the other guy just blinked." Pepsi began running full-page ads with first-time Pepsi drinkers who exclaimed, "Now I know why Coke did it." Pepsi experienced their biggest growth ever and declared that they had won the Cola War. Die-hard Coke drinkers acted like they had lost a family member. The Coke hotline was getting like 1,500 calls a day to complain. The whole thing became a huge joke among comedians and talk show hosts like David Letterman and Johnny Carson. When an ad appeared on the scoreboard at the Astrodome, the crowd began to boo. There was even a class action lawsuit filed against the Coca-Cola company. That was thrown out of court. You know, in hindsight, I think it would have been better to introduce the new Coke as a second flavor, having two drinks, original and the sweeter Coke. They tried this later on, eventually bringing back the original formula, which they called Coke Classic, and new Coke became Coke 2, but it was too little too late. The damage was already done. Once Coke Classic was brought back, it sold better than both new Coke and Pepsi. So much so that some people thought this might have been one big marketing ploy. I don't think so. I think it was just a mistake. Coke 2 never took off, and it was dropped in 2002, and the name Classic was taken off the original formula, returning Coca-Cola back to where they had first started.
So stay on the go, and remember, Coca-Cola is on the go with you everywhere.
Well, thanks for watching my vlog. This is the second vlog in a row where I've done sort of a mini history lesson. And I think I enjoy that, so I might do that for a while, see how it works out. I do a podcast, which is basically history lessons, so I figure I might as well turn my vlog into one too, at least for the time being. I change from day to day on what I want to do with this, so probably why I don't have a lot of viewers. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll be back with something in a couple weeks. Bye.